Hello and welcome to Ag PhD. I'm Brian Hefty.
And I'm Darren Hefty. Thanks for joining us today. One of the things that's going on mid-season on many farms across the country is pulling plant tissue analysis and taking a look at what the potential yield limiting factors may be. We're going to talk about that today.
We're also going to discuss fungicides. There is unfortunately a lot of resistance that's starting to occur around the United States and around the world. So we want to talk about using different modes of action on your farm to have the best success.
Fungicides are important, but they won't do anything to stop our weed of the week. We'll show you how to get this weed out of your life and off of your farm. But first, here's our farm basics.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk about prevent plant insurance and exactly what that is.
You know, if I was an insurance company, Brian, and I was going to give insurance to a farmer, probably the thing I'd be happiest to give them would be prevent plant insurance, because I know farmers. They want to plant every acre of every field.
All right, so just to explain what this is exactly, and unfortunately why we have to deal with this year, back when Darren and I were growing up, there was no insurance that a farmer could buy if Mother Nature prevented him from planting his field. Well, today there is. It's called Prevent Plant Insurance. Well, what that basically is if the farmer is not allowed to plant his crop during a certain time window. So in our area, for example, the farmer had all the way up until May 25th for full crop insurance. If he didn't get his corn planted by May 25th because it kept raining and raining and raining and raining, he'd never get in the field, well, then the farmer can collect a payment. Now that payment isn't going to be phenomenal. It's not like this deal where the guy is making tons of money or anything else, but at least it should be enough money for that farmer to cover his costs this year.
That's obviously not the way a farmer wants to cover his costs. He'd like to do it by raising that crop. But it's one of those decisions as we get later into the season that farmers would look at. And that May 25th date came up, Brian, there were still a lot of farmers in our area planting corn because they said, look, I need the corn for feed for my livestock. I need the corn to cover some contracts I may already have at the grain elevator in town. I also may just want to get the corn out in the field because I think it's the best thing for the ground to raise a crop. So farmers, for a lot of reasons, they aren't just sitting there waiting for, oh man, if we can get to May 25th, I'm not going to have to plant. Farmers are better off for many reasons to put a crop in the ground.
Well, one of the things too, when the farmer starts thinking, oh, maybe I should take prevent plant insurance, you may be saying, well, wait a second here. How does the insurance company know that farmer can't plant? Look, if that farmer is the only one in his whole area that is saying, yeah, I can't plant because it's too wet, then that farmer's probably going to get investigated and he might not even be able to collect on that insurance. But what happened this year in 2019 is there were literally tens of millions of acres all across the United States that were heavily hit by rainfall. We had so much rain that all these acres were just left there laying idle for a tremendously long time. And the problem with all that is when the farmer says, okay, I want to go, I want to plant, if the farmer tries to plant and it's too muddy, then they're going to get stuck in the field. They're going to have problems with that stand or the seed ever coming out of the ground. So farmers simply can't do that. Well, with the insurance companies looking at this year is they say, all right, if everybody in this whole area is having problems, then all right, we're just going to go ahead and allow that.
You know, the other choice that a farmer has is, let's say he was holding out till May 25th trying to plant corn. Of course he could plant a different crop. And that's what happened on many acres across the country this year. Farmers said, ooh, it's getting a little bit late for me to plant corn. I'm nervous. It's not going to make it to maturity before my normal frost date in the fall. I might switch to another crop that could mature a little quicker. And that may have been soybeans for some farmers. It may have been other crops too.
But if they
just depends on the area.
Yeah, and if they switch to another crop, they're not going to get prevent plant insurance. But we wanted to talk about this just a little bit today because as a non-farmer, you may have heard about farmers collecting money from the government or something on acres they didn't farm. Well, what it actually is prevent plant insurance that farmers have to pay for. Yes, there may be part of that that's government subsidized, but primarily it's the farmer spent money to buy insurance in advance, and if the farmer was not able to plant, the farmer would collect some money, but it's not this enormous payment where the guy is getting a crazy amount of dollars. He's getting usually enough money to cover his costs, and that's about it.
Whether a farmer gets a crop in the ground or he doesn't, the weed of the week is still going to pop up out there and needs to be controlled. We'll show you how to do that coming up later in the show.
With the success of the Case IH Tiger Quad Track and Magnum Road Track tractors, it's no secret why Case IH is the leader of the track. So it wasn't surprising when the competition started imitating us, because Case IH offered the first 5-axle design to give you more power to the ground, with less berming and compaction, all to help you be more productive. Still, we're flattered. In fact, if we weren't already red, we'd be blushing.
Over the last couple of months, we have talked a lot about fungicides here at Ag PhD, and the reason why is because in a wet year, you are far more likely to have disease issues. So we want to make sure you get your questions answered. The most popular question we've had is, what products and what families of fungicide should I use? So we want to discuss that today.
All right, there's a few different things here. First of all, best control versus lowest price, and then also the resistance discussion. So for all those reasons, I look at how can I use a multiple mode of action product? How can I get the best return on my investment? Now, keep in mind, I didn't say, well, the lowest cost. It's the best return on investment, because if there's enough added yield boost or added yield protection with using a premium product, well, hey, you know what? It's worth doing it. In wheat, for example, we've got a great opportunity at heading time when we're looking at a high scab risk in certain areas of the country. We'll say go with the premium product. It's proven it's going to be so much better at protecting against head scab than the lower end products out there. So you may use something like Caramba or Miravis Ace or Prosaro. Those are premium products that have been proven to do a little bit better job than, say, using a generic propiconazole, which is going to be really inexpensive, but the protection just isn't there.
All right, before we go any further, we got to step back. When we talk about modes of action with fungicide, there are 3 common chemical families that we're after here. It's the triazoles. They've been out for a long time. Same thing with the strobes or the strobilurin family. And then we've got the SDHI group, most of which are pretty new to the marketplace. So the triazoles, typically, we talk about as having pretty fast activity. They're a little bit more curative, not very curative, but a little bit more curative, and maybe a little bit shorter lasting. And examples of that would be like the old Folicure, for example. Darren mentioned Tilt. He mentioned Prosaro and Caramba. Those are all triazole products. Then we get to the strobilurin products. That would be Headline, Quadris, Evito. They're a little bit longer lasting, much more preventative than curative, and we've also found some other plant health benefits like reduced ethylene production in the plant. Then you get to the SDHI family. That's kind of the newer side of things. You look at Xemium from BSF, and there are a few others that are just coming out right now. So, for example, Trivapro has 3 different modes of action. The 3rd mode of action is an SDHI. If you look at the new Lucento from FMC, that's got an SDHI in it, as well as a triazole. So these SDHIs, that's the 3rd mode of action, and that one does seem to be fairly long lasting and controls a little bit different disease spectrum than the others, the triazoles and the strobes. Now, there is a 4th mode of action that we'll occasionally talk about, chlorothalonil, like the old Bravo. Not commonly used in the Midwestern United States, but we do see that especially in specialty crops.
All right, I loved when you got to the SDHIs, Brian, and you're trying to come up with, well, what products can I talk about here? And there are some straight SDHI products mainly used in specialty crops, but in corn and soybeans and wheat, when we see those SDHIs, they're in a premix with at least one other mode of action, if not 2 other modes of action, to prevent resistance. Now, when we think about the strobilurin family, there is some resistance out there in many areas around the world to the strobilurins with certain diseases. It may be frog eye leaf spot, septoria brown spot, and others in the United States, but in some areas, like over in Europe, boy, almost everything seems to be resistant to the strobilurins because they got used by themselves. And like you said, the SDHIs are a newer family being used in the upper Midwest. It's being protected by putting in premixes with other things.
Now, Darren talked about this resistance issue. It's not just around the world or in other areas or anything. It's literally right here. We've got resistant frog eye. We've got resistant brown spot. we're concerned about resistance with other diseases out there. With the strobes. Now that's not to say we don't want to use the strobes. We like them because of the plant health benefits we get, but we've got to get a triazole out there in addition to it, or an SDHI, or best case scenario, we get all three of them. So Darren started talking about wheat today, okay, and he said, all right, when you get to the head scab timing, then we're looking at those straight triazoles. I get that, but early in the season, we could use Nexicor, for example. That's got 3 modes of action. When we're early in the season, we could use Trivapro. That's got 3 modes of action. In corn and soybeans, at any timing, you can use Trivapro, that's 3 modes of action, or some other fungicides that are multiple modes of action. And that's probably our #1 thing today that we wanted to encourage you to do, is multiple modes of action. That gives you a broader disease spectrum and a lot less chance for resistance.
All right, let's talk products now for the rest of the season here. You're looking for what's the best options that I've got out there for corn and for soybeans, and take a look at the big companies out there, like FMC, for example. Brian already mentioned Lucento, which is a 2-mode of action product, and TopGuard EQ, which is really the top of the line triazole that's out there in terms of longest lasting, most powerful product.
Plus the strobe that's in there as well, the old Quadris. Then you go to BASF. We love Preaxor. That's a great product that's got 2 modes of action, strobe and SDHI. But Headline Amp has been very popular in corn too. That's a strobe and a triazole product. Okay, then you go to Syngenta. They've got Trivapro, 3 modes of action. They've got Miravis Ace and Miravis Neo. And then we go to Bayer, where they have Delaro and they have Stratego Yield. So you look at all those companies, great options. I'll throw one more out at you. That's Acropolis from AMVAC, and what Acropolis is, that is Domark, or basically the active ingredient that's found in Domark. That's a triazole, and it's Topsin. So it's another mode of action that we hadn't even talked about yet. So you can see where we're going with this. There are so many different modes of action, and you can source a lot of these multiple mode of action products from the big companies, or you can go mix your own. If you want to take a generic triazole like the old Tilt, for example, and find some generic out there and mix that with a generic version of Quadris, you can do that. There's generic Topsin. There are all these products out there. The big thing is use multiple modes of action. Look at the timing you're going to spray. Spray early rather than late, because all these products are way better at preventing disease than they are from curing disease. And the last thing I'll throw out is make sure you have amazing coverage, because all fungicides move in the xylem of the plant that only moves upward, doesn't move down, which means if you don't treat lower leaves or even lower halves of leaves, they will be unprotected.
All right, before you hit rewind and go back and watch that whole segment again to get all those details in there, take a look at our Weed of the Week and see if you can identify this week's weed.
You're invited to attend the free Ag PhD Field Day, Thursday, July 25th. Hi, I'm Darren Hefty. Our event gets bigger and better every year, and for 2019, we have even more valuable information for your farm. This year, we feature guided tours of more than 100 Ag PhD field trials, highlighting the latest in technology, seed, crop protection, and fertilizer. Plus, you can see high-yield panels with 15 yield champions in corn, soybeans, wheat, barley, milo, and sunflowers. And see the plots that each of those farmers are managing right here on our site. And this year's field day will have more equipment to show than ever. In addition to the larger ride and drive and field demo areas, we're introducing another huge area called Pathway to Precision, where you can see the latest in equipment options for your farm. We also have great facilities, awesome food, activities for kids, live entertainment, and more. Come to the Ag PhD Field Day, where top farmers meet, Thursday, July 25th in Baltic, South Dakota. Please register at agphd.com.
Tough, precise, efficient. Strip tillage with the Soil Warrior brings the future to your farm. Learn more at soilwarrior.com/agphd.
Tired of that old warped poly boom ruining your spray applications? Express Boom from Hypro is a fully assembled stainless steel boom that ensures an even application of chemicals every time. Don't wait another season, upgrade today. Hypro, helping you spray better.
Invisible, invasive, underestimated. Nematodes are stealing over 10% of yields, and current protection methods aren't enough. But a breakthrough seed treatment technology controls nematodes when they attack. Now offering NemaStrike technology. It provides broad spectrum control from the start and stays in the root zone as plants grow. Take back your bushels with NemaStrike technology. Strike where nematodes attack.
It seems like we talk about plant tissue analysis almost every week, but honestly, we're using it on our farm and with a lot of farmers that we're working with across the country on multiple crops. So I'm going to talk about two situations today. I'm going to open it up here and then we'll have a discussion, but there's kind of the, hey, my crop is doing fine. I just want to see where my nutrients are at all through the season. Are my plants able to access them? Is there something I'm running short in? So kind of your standard plant tissue analysis. But then there's also, hey, something's wrong in my field. Maybe a nutrient could be responsible. I'm going to do plant tissue analysis because I've got a problem.
Either way, we want you to do some soil sampling in the exact spot where you're going to pull plant tissue analysis. So if, let's say, you pulled samples earlier this spring or last fall, and now you're going to go back out to those exact grid points, well, you're fine, you're covered, no big deal. If it's a one-off spot where you don't have a grid point there, you've never soil sampled in that exact spot, then absolutely go soil test there right now and pull a tissue sample there right now, and then you can hopefully get some kind of correlation there, hopefully get some kind of idea as to what's really going wrong in that plant.
So Brian mentioned if you've got a problem, doing a soil test and taking a plant tissue test in the same spot is a really good idea. I think it's a great idea for your tests that you're pulling all through the season. On our farm, we'll typically run 10 or 12 weeks where every week we're out pulling a sample of plant tissue to get an analysis done and see what our nutrient trends are throughout the season. I think it's a great strategy. The question we get about this time of year is, hey, I've been doing this for about 10 weeks. Now what? How long do I keep going? And it's one of those things on your farm that you've got to kind of figure those things out yourself. I would say pull it all the way through the season. As long as you've got green leaf tissue out there, see what's going on. And you're going to figure out, you know what? Probably the last couple weeks, I'm really not learning anything new and I really can't change anything, but here's a good stopping point for me. For me, it's going to be quite a ways into the season. It's not just going to be, hey, I got to tassel, now I'm done. No way. You still got a long ways to go filling that ear out on corn, and the same thing would be true with soybeans.
Okay, but in terms of our farm, I would say we're going to go maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks past tassel on corn. But with soybeans, we want to keep that going later in the season because so much of soybean yield is set in August a lot of times in the Midwest. So I'm absolutely sampling all the way through August in soybeans. Now here's the number one reason why you want to do this in the good areas like Darren was talking about. So you have some comparison of bad and good because you're going to get fertilizer recommendations. Is your fertilizer dealer or who's ever making these recommendations, are they really the foremost expert in the field? Well, they might be great. But I'd rather look at my own data and say, you know what, my 300 bushel corn spots, this is what they had for soil fertility, this is what they had for nutrients inside the plant all through the growing season, and now I'm going to try to replicate that moving forward. Nutrient content is huge for yield. So that's the number one reason why you want to know in the good areas, what do I actually have?
I think the best thing you said there, Brian, is just that you can be the expert on your farm. Even if you say, you know, I don't know that much about nutrition yet, you can learn, and you can learn for not very much money by pulling plant tissue analysis. That's the thing I like the most about this.
While pulling plant tissue samples, it's really important during the season, but so is controlling weeds like our Weed of the Week. We'll show you how to stop this tough one right after this.
Do you feel like there's never enough time to get everything done before planting? The window for spring work is quick and unforgiving. Give yourself the upper hand with the ProTill High Performance High Speed Disc. More and more farmers agree the ProTill is the right tool for springfield conditions and heavy residue management. Zero maintenance bearings, independent disc technology, oversized pins and bushings allow the ProTill to handle whatever field or conditions you can throw at it. Degelman High Performance Equipment. With the success of the Case IH Steiger Quad Track and Magnum Road Track tractors, it's no secret why Case IH is the leader of the track. So it wasn't surprising when the competition started imitating us, because Case IH offered the first 5-axle design to give you more power to the ground, less berming and compaction, all to help you be more productive. Still, we're flattered. In fact, if we weren't already red, we'd be blushing.
At Estes Performance Concaves, we know how valuable your time is at harvest. That's why we designed the new XPR concave system. The XPR system is the #1 performance concave system on the market, surpassing the rest in both speed and efficiency, ensuring every last grain from your field gets into your tank. Plus, XPR concaves work for all row crops. No more changing concaves, meaning you have less downtime. Take back your bushels this harvest. Get Estes Performance Concaves in your combine today.
There are a lot of steps to having a perfect season. Don't let your fertilizer plan be the step that trips you up. No matter when you apply fertilizer, no matter how, AgroLiquid has the experts and the products that'll help you move closer to your target and hit the bullseye. AgroLiquid moves you closer to your target.
In 1949, Morton Buildings constructed our first machine storage building to establish our bond with the farming community. Since then, our relationship has grown, and so have our product offerings. From the smallest specialized operation to the largest agricultural enterprise, we understand the needs of your business and continue to evolve to meet industry demands. Plus, when you build a Morton building, you're backed by the strongest warranty in the business. To learn more about the Morton Advantage, visit mortonbuildings.com.
Our weed of the week is buffalo burr.
Have you ever pulled a rose bush by hand? Of course not, because it's got these really strong spikes on the side. Buffalo burr is very much the same thing. So it's one of those weeds that if you're gonna pull this and that's gonna be your method of controlling our weed of the week, good luck.
This is just an annual weed. It's not like the worst weed out there. That's why you may never have even heard of this weed. But we'll talk today about how to control it if you do get it in your crops or in your non-crop areas.
Yeah, one of the places we see it the most is in overgrazed pastures. So you don't even need chemistry to control this thing. Just don't overgraze. Use rotational grazing, fertilize the pasture so you get nice grass growth, and you won't see much buffalo burr. But if you do, even something as inexpensive as 2,4-D can control it.
Yeah, we don't worry too much about this in the non-crop areas because, like Darren said, 2,4-D, there's also dicamba. Plenty of herbicides will get this under control there. But let's talk about soybeans. What are we going to do in soybeans, Darren?
Well, first of all, the 3-Pre program is not the greatest on buffalo burr. This is one of those broadleaf weeds that can germinate from a little deeper in the soil. I do like metribuzin in the program. That definitely helps, and Authority and Valor have a little bit of impact on it. But post-emerge, we're going to need Roundup or Liberty or either the new Enlist 1 or one of the new dicamba products. Those work great if you're in conventional soybeans. What we were used to rely on is one of the PPOs like Ultra Blazer, Cobra, or Flex Star to try and take it out.
All right, in corn, it's not as difficult. I would start with Verdict, but many of the pre's will have at least a little bit of activity. But again, we'd really count on the post products to get you complete control. Either use one of the HPPDs or Status.
In wheat, I'd use a high rate of Sharpen to start with and come back in with a high rate of Husky in crop, and you can take out buffalo burr.
Well, that's it for our Weed of the Week Buffalo Burr, but stay tuned. Iron Talk is coming up next.
If you're looking to expand your farm's grain handling, you want everything to be fast and efficient. The Quick Belt from Norwood Sales is your all-around grain handling solution. Our conveyor-based system uses an 18-inch belt and a 10-inch tube, which minimizes seed damage while moving more than 10,000 bushels an hour. That's fast enough to fill a semi in 6 minutes. Plus, our hood is designed to gently direct the flow of grain straight down, keeping your crop in condition. Keep your grain and your farm moving with the Quick Belt from Norwood Sales. Your planter is the single most important piece of equipment on your farm, because without a uniform stand, you can't reach maximum yield. That's why Harvest International set out to design a planter that takes advantage of the newest innovations in planter technology. Built tough for high speed and integrated with the latest precision enhancements, Harvest International planters ensure every seed you plant today puts more in your bin at harvest. Harvest International, planting the future.
Do you feel like there's never enough time to get everything done before planting? The window for spring work is quick and unforgiving. Give yourself the upper hand with the ProTill High Performance High Speed Disc. More and more farmers agree the ProTill is the right tool for springfield conditions and heavy residue management. Zero maintenance bearings, independent disc technology, oversized pins and bushings allow the ProTill to handle whatever field or conditions you can throw at it. Degelman High Performance Equipment.
Out here, great yield starts with great weed control. That's why I choose the Roundup Ready Extend crop system, the system that makes the difference, because only I know what it takes out here. Yield's what it's all for. But keeping my fields clean all season, that's what it's all about. This is my field.
There are a lot of steps to having a perfect season. Don't let your fertilizer plan be the step that trips you up. No matter when you apply fertilizer, no matter how, AgroLiquid has the experts and the products that'll help you move closer to your target and hit the bullseye. AgroLiquid moves you closer to your target.
Iron Talk is brought to you by Case IH.
With the success of the Case IH Steiger Quad Track and Magnum Road Track tractors, it's no secret why Case IH is the leader of the track. So it wasn't surprising when the competition started imitating us. Because Case IH offered the first 5-axle design to give you more power to the ground, with less berming and compaction, all to help you be more productive. Still, we're flattered. In fact, if we weren't already red, we'd be blushing.
Could one of the least fun jobs on the farm actually be a $100 per hour job in disguise? You've been asking for some help with spray tank cleanout? Here's some tips in today's Iron Talk. First, understand that each herbicide you spray may need a little different product to clean it out of the tank. So read the label and also ask your supplier what works best for the chemicals you're using. I'll give you an example with a specific product, Lautus. We're having trouble getting it out of the spray tank, but talking to one of the tech people for Bayer, they said, "Oh, have you tried bleach?" Well, bleach is actually very effective at getting it out of spray tanks, and we had found that ammonia and commercial tank cleaners were much less effective. The second thing to know is to clean out the tank as soon as you're done spraying so the product is still in the liquid form and easiest to rinse out. Third, after rinsing the tank once or twice, fill the tank up with water and commercial tank cleaner or whatever works best in the products needing cleaned out, and then charge the booms. Then let it sit overnight or all day and let that cleaner work. Rinse it all out when you're done and pay special attention to spray sumps, pumps, screens, and strainers. Also, make sure you check all the places that contamination can hang up, like around spray tips and out at the ends of spray booms. Finally, consider adding a compatibility agent at a low rate as you're mixing up some of the tougher to clean out crop protection products. We've seen them stay in solution much better, leading to less gunk to clean out later on. We've used a product called Convert, and we've been very satisfied. Yes, this is a little bit of work. The benefits are fantastic, though, and peace of mind as you're spraying out your next batch without fear of damaging your crop, well, that's priceless. No neighbors giving you a hard time about a field either with brown spots in it. It's easily a $100 per hour job. That's all for today's Iron Talk, and now back to the show.
That's all the time we have for today's show, but before we go, I just want to take this opportunity to invite you again to attend the Ag PhD Field Day. It's a free event that we have on our farm each year, just to say thanks to you for watching Ag PhD for all these years. You can go to agphd.com to either register or learn more about the free Ag PhD Field Day that's coming up on Thursday, July 25th.
And don't miss the next Ag PhD TV show. We'll have another Weed of the Week, Farm Basics, Iron Talk, and a whole lot more. I'm Darren Hefty.
And I'm Brian Hefty. Thanks for watching Ag PhD.